What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It is the starting 11 prediction ahead of tomorrow's trip to Paisley to face St Mirren. But we'll start with the big transfer news since I was last with you yesterday that Matt O'Reilly is on his way to Brighton to become Celtic's record sale, £25 million. It was the news that we feared all summer. I think deep down we all knew it was going to come at some stage. And our worst fears realised as we enter the last week of the window that he does eventually go. I think a couple of weeks back I was getting a bit optimistic, thinking because the Atalanta interest had died down, and he was playing so well and he looked so calm despite the speculation that there might be a situation where he was still here come the close of the window, but it wasn't to be. Some reports suggesting that the add-ons take it to 30 million, others saying that there's not add-ons included in the deal. Whether that will be cleared up at a later date, I don't know, but obviously he's been fantastic for Celtic. He's been an absolute joy to watch. He's been a credit to the football club, a credit to the jersey, the way he's conducted himself, how professional he's been, but also the things off the pitch that he's done in his own time that he didn't have to do in terms of volunteering at the hospital, to spend time with the kids. Even the Paradise pit stop, that the sort of food kitchen that the club runs through the foundation, he volunteered his own time to go and help out there time and time again. He's been an absolute credit to himself, but also to the football club. A brilliant player, a brilliant professional, and a brilliant guy all round. And the interactions I had with him at a couple of press conferences, he was always top class as well. So he certainly goes with my best wishes. I think and I hope that he's a player that can go on again to a higher level. Brighton have obviously got a good track record recently of selling players on, particularly midfielders, for huge fees onto even bigger clubs. So I hope he can go and play at the highest level possible and achieve as much as he can, because I think he's got everything to be a top player at the highest level. It obviously comes as a blow for us, given the transfer activity that we've had inward this summer. We are now weaker, having lost our best player, and if you want to hear more detail and my thoughts about the transfer activity, you can see that on yesterday's video following Brendan Rodgers' press conference. I'm going to stick to the game today. I don't want to repeat myself on it, but right now it falls to Paulo Bernardo to fill the boots of Matt O'Reilly starting tomorrow. But the club have, I think in the last 24 hours, been confirmed that they've opened talks with Augsburg for Arne Engels, and I think the Matty Bogus rumours aren't going away either. So Brendan Rodgers did say if Matt O'Reilly was to leave, he would like to add 2 midfield players, and the club have got it all on in the next 6 days to go and do that. Now, St Mirren tomorrow can be a tricky place for us to go at times. It was under Postecoglou on a couple of occasions. I think last season we actually dealt with these games pretty well. I think we had 2 close together, one in the cup, one in the league, just after the turn of the year. We won both games relatively comfortably. And I think tomorrow we've just got to continue this brilliant start we've had. We've been playing at such a high level. I know it's a slightly smaller pitch there, so we don't have as much freedom as we do at Celtic Park to go and play. But I think the tempo of our game, the intensity, both on and off the ball, has been brilliant so far. We've had a 100% start to the season. Let's hope that continues tomorrow for St Mirren. They're off the back of 3 straight defeats, one to Aberdeen, one to Brann in the Conference League qualifiers, and a 1-0 defeat to Dundee United last week in the League Cup. So they're off the back of 3 defeats. They had a good start to the league season with that 3-0 win over Hibs. But they obviously had to navigate those European qualifiers, which is something they're not used to. They don't have a huge squad. They've got a couple of injuries as well. So let's have a quick look at how they might line up tomorrow. They do tend to line up in a 3-5-2 formation under Stephen Robinson domestically. And I think the most notable addition to what their lineup would have been last season is Sean Rooney at right wing back. He's a good signing for them already, had a good impact for them as well. A good goal threat in terms of being an attacking wing back and a threat at set pieces as well. And obviously we know that up front with the likes of Manjon, Ayunga from the bench, Olisanya as well. They have got players that can hurt you from time to time, but again, for us, it's all about maintaining this performance level and letting them worry about us, because if we go there and maintain where we've been at in our first few games of the season, there's no doubt we can go and win the game comfortably. So we'll get to the team then, and we'll start in goals, as we always do, with Kasper Schmeichel. I think Again, last weekend, not too much to do. He obviously concedes his first goal as a Celtic keeper. It's a great header for Kurevic, though. Not a lot he can do about it. I think we could have been tighter defensively. Cheap concession of the free kick, and then I think the marking could have been better at the back post. But a brilliant header. Not too much that Kasper could have done about it. But aside for that, again, we're restricting teams to relatively few chances, which is in contrast actually to how we started last season. If you remember the first couple of weeks of last season, we were 4-2 against Ross County on Flag Day. I think we went up to Aberdeen and won 3-1. We were conceding goals, we were conceding chances, and long may this continue where we're being really mean defensively, collectively across the whole team in terms of the attack as well. How we're closing down, how we're pressing as a team, that is the thing that stifles the opposition, and the less shots that Kasper has to face, the better, and that bodes well as we move through a league season, because if you don't concede a lot of chances, you won't concede a lot of goals, and that is how you win league titles. Right back, Alistair Johnston, no changes across the back four. Carter Vickers, Scales and Taylor. I thought Carter Vickers obviously he gives away the cheap free kick for the Hibs goal. I think he got booked for it as well. Maybe not just the top level Carter Vickers that we're used to, but absolutely no concerns there. Again, left back is the problem for us if anything was to happen to Greg Taylor right now. We have no cover in that position, and I know we would like to see some competition for Greg as well, but I think he's actually playing very, very well just now. He started the season brilliantly. He looks in good shape. I think he's coming inside the pitch a lot more often, being more involved in the build-up, getting into midfield. I highlighted in the full-time reaction last week, there was actually a sequence of play where he ended up making a run down the right wing to try and receive the ball after linking it in midfield. He's very used to that under Postecoglou. He didn't do it so often last season, but you can see how well suited he is to that. And I actually think he is playing very well. We just need competition for him. We need cover. We need another left back in, and that's another thing the club have to get done in the next 6 days. In midfield, I would love to say there's no changes, but of course, McGregor and Hatate you'd expect to start, and Paulo Bernardo will replace the outbound Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly's last game for Celtic against Hibs last weekend. As I said at the top of the video, what a joy to watch him it's been in the last few years. A brilliant player, but it gives Bernardo the opportunity now before we bring anyone else in, whether it's to be Bogus or Engels. Paulo Bernardo has got this opportunity now that he's here as a permanent Celtic player to go and grab that jersey and try and show Brendan Rodgers that he is the man that should take the mantle from Matt O'Reilly and try and stay in the team. I've got doubts about that because I don't think he's similar enough to Matt O'Reilly. I don't think he gives you the attacking threat in terms of goals and assists that Matt O'Reilly does. I do think they're slightly different players. I think Bernardo's strengths, he's a lot more physical than in terms of his running power than O'Reilly, I would say. He has scored goals for us, don't get me wrong, some big goals as well, and he's performed well in the bigger games. We just maybe haven't seen a long run of consistent starts for Bernardo. He may well get that opportunity now, but there's no doubt the club will be working in the background to strengthen midfield, because you can't lose your best player and not go and do that. But big opportunity for Bernardo. He did impress last weekend in his short cameo that he had off the bench. He does look sharp. He should be keen to impress now that he's here permanently. And let's hope if he does start tomorrow, we get a really good performance from him. Front three, Nicholas Kuhn, brilliant again last weekend. Looks like a different player this season from pre-season onwards. He's just so much more direct, so much more powerful, a much bigger goal threat. He's already equalled his tally of 3 goals from last season. I know he only played the back end of the season, the last 4 or 5 months, but we've only played 3 or 4 games and he's already got 3 goals. So he's in brilliant form. He's riding tackles a lot better as well. There was times last season where if he squared up a fullback or tried to run past somebody, he would just surrender possession. He looks a lot stronger now. He looks quicker, and long may his good form continue. So there's no doubt he's going to start on the right-hand side. In the left-hand side, I'm going to put Dyson Maeda there. I think Brendan Rodgers sort of answered this in the press conference yesterday because he was asked how often might we see Dyson Maeda through the middle after his good performance last weekend and his 2 goals. He said it is an option, but there's no way that he can play Kyogo, Ida and Maeda through the middle. So I fully expect Dyson to go back to the left-hand side tomorrow. Also with one eye on that derby next weekend where he's been so effective in that position for us. I fully expect him to start there tomorrow, and I'm going to put Kyogo through the middle. I think Ida looks like he needs time. He needs some games off the bench to build his minutes up, to build his sharpness up, and also some time in the training pitch as well. I think he just looked a wee bit rusty last weekend. There was a couple of balls where they were played through to him, and I thought he was going to get onto them, and he was just short in terms of his pace and his sharpness. So I think Ida needs more time. Kyogo is back training. A lot of speculation about him this week. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything. Brendan Rodgers did confirm that there's been absolutely no contact from Man City or anyone for Kyogo, so let's hope that continues. We've only got another week to go. We cannot afford to lose another top player. We've lost Matt O'Reilly, and yes, it represents brilliant business for the club, but we are now weaker and we cannot lose two of our top players in the last week of a transfer window. It doesn't matter who it is. And Kyogo nursing this shoulder problem. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers looks like he would. It seems like Brendan Rodgers would like him to get the surgery, but Kyogo doesn't want to do it, and he's been nursing the problem for a while. Brendan Rodgers seemed to suggest that he had it actually before he even came to Celtic, and just from time to time it goes through more difficult periods than others. He's a top player as long as he can navigate that, and I know it's a point of weakness for him because if he takes any contact on it, he does tend to go down and then he has to come off. And obviously last weekend Brendan Rodgers saw fit to rest him just to let him recover fully, but I think he'll start through the middle tomorrow, and we will see either off the bench. I'd like to see either get 25 minutes, half an hour, again just to build up his minutes and build up his sharpness. So there you go, that's the team I think Brendan Rodgers will go with tomorrow. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you outside the ground tomorrow with the full-time reaction. Thank you.